Hi, everyone. I'm Lori Whitlock, and I am here at the Silhouette headquarters in Linden, Utah, broadcasting live to you guys. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to have our second part of our two-part class on the Silhouette chipboard village that I've designed this year. So we're getting all of our audio set up and our everything set up, so bear with us as we get everything going, and we'll wait for people to join the class. And while we're waiting for people to join, just feel free to leave a comment here letting us know where you're joining us from. We'd love to know where you're coming from. We've got people from all over the world, so this is really exciting. This is such a fun project. And last week we went through the first part of putting together the village. This week we're going to go through the last two houses and how to put those together. And we're also going to go through the print and cut embellishments. So stick around to learn a little bit more about how to create those embellishments. We have moderators here in the Zoom class and on YouTube watching for your comments, so please feel free to chime in and ask questions if you have questions. We will answer those on air, and some people may even type in answers, so you can watch for those as well. Also, just so you're aware, this broadcast will be recorded, so you can watch it again later and replay and rewind as you need to watch certain sections of the class again. So, I have a question for you as we're gathering people. Who has got their Christmas tree set up? Have you started decorating for the holidays yet? Or are you just getting through Thanksgiving first and then decorating? Do we have some people starting to comment on that? I know, I personally don't have a tree set up yet. We actually have a tradition the day after Thanksgiving to go cut a fresh Christmas tree, and then we set it up that weekend. So that's kind of what we do. Another tradition we have in our house, and I've done this since I was a little girl, my mom always set up a Christmas village. So she always had a porcelain Dickens Christmas village that we had in our home, and I just love the ambiance that creates in our home. So that is one of the things that inspired me to create this Christmas village. And those who were not here last week, they're just joining us, this village is made out of Silhouette chipboard. So hopefully you've got some of that so that you can cut out your pieces, but we cut all of it from scratch on the Silhouette machine. You can do this with the Silhouette Portrait or the Cameo, but we are using this nice Silhouette brand chipboard. So make sure you go pick up some of that to make your village out of. We'll also be using the print and cut feature, and I'll show you some different materials on that later in the class today. But did we get any answers? Is anybody decorated for Christmas yet? Not really? Okay, have we got people gathered up? Are we ready to get started? Okay, we are going to go first of all into the design store, and I'll show you where you can pick up the files for this project. If you'll go to the main page of the design store, you can see this little artist tab up at the top. I would click on that, and you can choose to follow certain artists. I've got my logo up here at the top, but if you don't have that up at the top, you would just scroll down to L, Lori Whitlock here, and go ahead and click on that. And then you'll see my portfolio of designs. We've got all sorts of fun new Christmas files coming into the store. So you'll need to scroll down just a little ways. And here on the first page, you will run into the chipboard village pieces. And you can just click on one of those pieces, and then you'll see this little view collection button. If you'll click on that, you'll see all of the pieces come up. And you're in luck this week. Until Saturday, all of these pieces are half price. So I've already downloaded these for this class, so you can see that I own it, but you should see that those are all marked down half price. You don't need to enter any sort of coupon code or anything. So you can just click on each of those and add them to your cart and download those. And if you'd like to, also, if you'll visit my portfolio, you will see a design that says, I gotta locate it. This is my Christmas crafting shirt. If you'll notice today, I'm actually wearing this. You can look at it a little later when we're back on my picture, but you can download this for free with any purchase of a Lori Whitlock design this week. So go grab that, add that to your cart along with the village, and you'll be able to make yourself a t-shirt too. So you can wear that while you're making your village. Okay, so once you've got your files downloaded, we are going to go into the software. And last week I went through all of the cut settings and everything. I'll do a brief refresh on that, but be sure you go back and watch class number 1 so you can get all of the information that I went over. I talk about all the materials and glues and everything that you're going to need. But once you download those files, they're going to show up in your library. And I made a folder over here on the right-hand side. And a lot of people like this little trick to make a folder and drop all the files in there. I just do a right click and make a new folder. And then once you have your folder, you can go to all of your files and locate those village pieces and just drag them into the chipboard houses folder. And then you can just have those as a little project that you're working on, so you don't have to sort through all of your downloads to find these every time you're trying to cut a new house piece. So today we're going to be cutting out the last two pieces to the village. The one is the farmhouse, and the other one is the general store. So I'm just going to go ahead. Oops, I opened that. I'm going to start a new document. Just do the little plus here, and then go into my library and go ahead and open that in this new document. So this is what the file looks like when you originally bring it in. I'm just going to move these all off to the side so you can see them a little bit better. But last week I went over this in detail, so you'll want to go back and watch. But I had cut everything out of chipboard, including all the covering panels, so that I made it a double layer of chipboard. You can decide how you want to create your village. If you want to double it up, or if you want to just cut the covering panels out of paper, you can do that as well. I love it being double layered, so that it's nice and sturdy and that I can store it without it breaking apart easily. So that's a good tip. So go back and watch how to get this all cut out, and then get your pieces ready to go. And we're going to assemble this house, and we're also going to assemble the general store piece right now. So those are the two you would need to have cut out in order to do this class. And then later we're going to use the embellishment sheet, or the accessories for the village, the Christmas accessories. And I'm going to show you how to do a print and cut with those. So let's get started, and we will go ahead and assemble the general store first. I'm just going to come back to my crafting table. And I've got all those pieces already cut out. Last week I did talk about the cut settings, but you would want to, if you've got a nice fresh blade, usually those factory settings work great for cutting. If you have an older blade, you might want to bump your blade depth up just a little bit to maybe a 6. So play around with your settings and do a test cut. It's going to depend a little bit on your machine. But right now we're going to go ahead and put together our cute general store. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and fold on all those score lines. And I'm just looking to see if I've got my bone folder handy here. Okay, I'm not seeing it, so we're just going to use my little scraper. That'll work. Sometimes my little tool caddy gets things out of place. That's okay. We'll just make do. Okay, so we're just going to fold on all those score lines to start forming our house. Last week, before I folded everything, I went ahead and glued on all those covering panels, or actually I kind of folded them and then glued on those covering panels of chipboard. This week, I have not glued them on already. I do have them cut out, but I just wanted to show you the general assembly. You get to make that decision on your village, how many layers you want it to be, but I do recommend gluing those covering panels on before full assembly, because some of the dormers and the little outbuildings, you are not able to get a covering panel on after you've already assembled it. So once you have everything folded, make sure you get those bottom pieces folded as well. Once you get all those pieces folded, it's really simple to put together. You've just got your side glue tab here that you're going to glue, and then you've got to match it up here on the other two sides. And that's all you have to do to form this building. And then this one has two little outbuildings that are going to go across the front, and that's what these pieces are over here. So we'll just match those up. And go ahead and glue that down. I'm going to let that dry for a minute while I work on one of these little outbuilding pieces. I found with the chipboard, you need to let it dry a little in between before you start playing around with it too much and folding it, or else it releases that seal on the glue. So again, we're just going to fold all those score marks towards the inside. I'm actually going to go the other way because I've got a little cleaner cut on the other side of the house. So we'll go this direction with it. If you have any flaws in your cutting, just put those on the inside. Sometimes that happens. Okay, so these little angled pieces at the top form the roof. So you just want to fold those towards the inside. And you'll see this large opening here. This is where you're going to line it up with the large opening on the house. So when you put your covering panels on, there won't be a covering panel for that back of this side, if that makes sense. Okay, so now let's just glue this glue tab here on the side. And let that, oops, I got a little too much glue there. That's all right. I'll just scrape that off. Last week I showed how we spray painted these. So if you have a little bit of glue that's excess, it'll be just fine. You're going to spray paint over that or cover it with a covering panel. So down on the bottom, we're just going to glue those 2 tabs in, and we'll have a nice flat bottom that's double layered there, and that we will glue, eventually it will glue down to the bottom, our base piece, which is this piece here. So then on top, I like to use that internal piece as kind of a guide as to where to glue these little tabs. And on this side, we're going to have a little harder time getting our fingers in there. We have this opening here. We can get in there, so that's okay. Okay. If you guys have any questions for me along the way, please feel free to ask. Okay, so that's how one of those little outbuildings gets put together, and it's going to glue right here on the front of our house, and we're done. And then we have the little roof pieces. So if you can see that it's actually pretty simple. It's just the main house piece and these 2 little outbuildings, the bottom, and then the roof pieces. So really, it might look intimidating when you open that file, but it's really not too bad. I like to put the little roof pieces on after I glue it on the house, because I don't want them to hold that building out from the house. So just glue those on before you add the roof. So at this point, you go ahead and fold up and assemble the other little outbuilding. And let's go ahead and finish up our house here. We'll put the glue on that tab. Use our scraper to get a good press on that glue. And then at this point, we are just going to put our roof together. Got 1 tab there I need to go ahead and fold down. But our roof is going to glue together just by pulling those 2 sides up, and this tab is going to tuck in. So just like that. So I'm going to glue this side with the tab first, so it can be underneath. So pull those in, and you want to make sure they're nice and square. Then take your time and make sure that you press it really well. I actually, oh, see, I've lost my press already. You might want to use the table if you can to get a good press on that seam. And if it comes loose, just add a little more glue. I do like to use glue on these. I don't like to use tape runner because tape runner does not have the holding power that you need for long-term for this kind of a project. So go ahead and glue that, and then you'll go ahead and glue this top tab down and this other side up. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some adhesive to that. And then I'm probably going to hand this off camera to have somebody hold that while it's drying. But at this point, you would just go ahead, after that's dry, go ahead and glue those 2 front dormers on, and go ahead and glue this little roof piece on. Oops, right here. And then when that's all dry, you'll go ahead and add the bottom. So you'll notice the bottom's got a hole, and that is for your lights so that you can put the light inside. But you can see that that kind of lines up with those bottom curves in that bottom tab there. So I'm going to hand this off screen and we'll take a closer look at one that's completely put together so you can see how that all works. So here I've got the finished one. You can see I've gone ahead and glued those two little outbuildings on, and then I went ahead and put those roofs on and painted. So we spray painted the whole thing white. Let me just show you one of those that's all painted white. This is a little bit different house, but you see I literally took it outside and just spray painted it white, and then I brought it back in, and then I hand painted the roofs with a charcoal, just acrylic craft paint and a sponge brush. So I just painted the roofs with that. And then I used a fine brush, something like this, to paint along these edges of the house. If you wanted to be smart, you could spray paint it before adding these two little rooftops and hand paint those and then glue it on. You could do that. But if you'll notice, by spray painting it first and then hand painting it, it actually seals it nicely against the building so there's no gap there. So I actually really didn't mind hand painting it, but you can decide how you want to do yours. Then I also just added the chipboard window casings that I painted that charcoal color to. So I kind of demonstrated that last week as well, but I painted a piece of chipboard with charcoal colored paint, and then I cut out all those window casings. So they were painted before I cut. Okay, so we will move on to go ahead and put together our farmhouse. Farmhouse pieces are right here. So once you've put one of these together, it's really quite easy to put together the next ones. They're very similar in construction. We have our main house pieces. The front door is right here on this piece, and then this is the back of the house. And then on this one, let me pull the farmhouse up here for you so you can see. This one has two little dormers that are up here on the roof. So they're a little bit different shaped dormer. They're going to look like this. So I'll show you how to put that together. But the basic house construction is almost identical to the general store that we just did. So we're just going to fold again on all those score lines towards the inside. And on the bottom, make sure you get all those. Sometimes I get busy talking and forget a score line here or there. Okay, so that's the front piece, and then we'll do the same thing with the back piece. Just make sure when you're folding these that you don't get one of them flipped the other way, because if I folded everything in, they wouldn't match up properly. Just make sure that that small triangle in the window is over here on this side on both pieces. I have done that before. We all make mistakes and we learn from them, and then we know better not to do that again, right?
Sorry, we actually.
Yes. Sure.
Kathy was wondering about how to put the front door on.
Oh, on the front door. Okay.
General store on this one.
Okay. So I think I'm looking, the general store file should actually have a front door on it like this one. I think perhaps that one got cut from a prototype file because it should have a little door that flaps open just like this one. In fact, let me pull this one for you to look at and see. It should have a little door on there. And then what I did for the front door to be this charcoal color was to cut another piece of chipboard and painted it black, just like I did the window casings. I actually had it pre-painted before I cut it, and then just go ahead and glue that on the little door. So the covering panel for these pieces does not include the front door. So the front door should be on the base of the house pieces. Let me show you. On the farmhouse I'm working on, if you were to use the covering panel, either out of chipboard or out of, let's see here, right here. So either out of chipboard or out of pattern paper, however you're making yours, it does not include the front door. So it just lines up right around that front door, and you can open the door from the base. So yeah, sorry about that. I think my prototype had a little miscut, but if you're seeing a problem with the file in a design store, please let me know. I believe that has been fixed though. So we'll go ahead and put this little house together. Just glue that side tab. Make sure you get it nice and square because you don't want your house to be lopsided. If you have any extra, you can always just scrape extra glue off. We'll let that dry, and while we're letting that dry, we will go ahead and put together one of those roof dormer pieces. Just fold everything towards in one direction. Okay, so that's what it looks like, and you will just pull those up and glue that. And this, let's see here. I got to remember how these work. Oh, we have to angle it up. There's another fold here. Yep, there it is. Like, it's not angling. Look closely and you'll see some angled folds there. So then this piece on the back angles up and glues to that. And these pieces angle up. So you're going to end up with a funky little piece that looks like this. And you're going to glue this section here to the rooftop. Okay, then if you'll notice, the back section is going to be kind of free, and you're just going to cover that with another little roof piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue that together so I can show you how that looks all completed. So just pull those tabs up and glue that angle in place. We want that to dry really good. And then we'll use a little glue on these two tabs. Oops, I don't know if I got enough under there. There we go. And so that's how it's going to look. You'll have to be patient and just let that dry for a minute before you try and do too much with it. Just maybe set that off to the side for a minute. That's one thing I have to always tell myself is just be patient, let the glue dry. And this is one of the little roof pieces for that little dormer. Looks like this. It's just got the two little tabs back there. So just set that off to the side with the little dormer piece. And we'll go ahead and finish up this house here. Okay, if we got any other questions coming in? We're good? Okay, you guys are awesome. Everybody knows they're a pro by now. They know what they're doing. Either that or they've given up, one of the two. Hopefully not. You guys, this will take a little time, but this is such a beautiful project when you're done. So it's totally worth it. Once you have this, like I said, I've designed it where you can keep it out year round. So you get a lot of bang for your buck, I guess, time. You get a lot of design, a nice project for the investment in time. Okay. And then we just close that last side up. Right here. And then I can kind of show you how those dormers go on once this all dries a little bit. So the other thing you could do, you guys could get really creative and start mixing and matching pieces. While that's drying, maybe I'll just show you really quick what I'm talking about. But say you wanted to make the little cottage, but you wanted to get creative and add a little dormer to it, you could do that. Look how fun that would be. I've made all the angles on the roofs the same angle so that they'll all be interchangeable. Again, just to show you one more example, you might be able to take like the cute little church or schoolhouse and add a dormer over here. And that would be super fun. You can kind of add more village house pieces that way. Actually, I'm not sure it's going to work there. You might have to do it on this angle here on this side. That's a little too short of a roof line to be able to do it on that one. So you could also add the little steeple that's on this church to any of the houses because that angle is going to be the same. So I would love to see you guys get creative and do some different, make some different combinations of houses. So at this point, you're just going to take well, first of all, I guess we got to put the roof on. This is our roof piece. We don't want to put our dormer on before our roof, but the roof is going to go here like this. And the dormer is going to glue here, just with that flat piece on the back there. Just glue that on here. And then the rooftop is going to just glue on there. And you would make a second one and put it here. And then when you're done, it's going to look like this. So like I said, you're going to get it to this point after you're done and paint it all white. And after you paint it white, so that's kind of the stages. You've got it chipboard, then white, and then you've got everything all painted and done. Okay, does anyone have any questions about the farmhouse or the general store assembly? All good to go? Okay. All right, we're going to move on to print and cut. Just to kind of cover the bottom of these, they all have a hole in them. And I talked last week about the lights that I'm using. So I've used some lights that I got at Target that they look like this. And they're $5 a set. And they fit inside the little hole here on the bottom of the house. So it's got a little control box like this, and they have a timer on them, so you can turn them on and they'll stay on for 6 or 8 hours. So some of the lights out there have a box that's a little too big, so watch for ones with the smaller box on them. Okay, we're going to move on to our print and cut. So I'm going to clear off some of our assembly pieces here real quick. Whoops. Okay. We'll go back to the computer, and I just want to show you do you want to show closely just some of the print and cut pieces of the village? So my plan for this year is to create we've got a little skater that's fallen over here. So my plan for this year is to create some different print and cut pieces for each season. So you're looking at the Christmas set right now, but I want to do one for Valentine's and probably Easter and spring and summer, 4th of July. So watch for those throughout the year this year. I do want to show you that there's a little difference in print quality. So let me just let's see, is the other green Christmas tree handy here? Do you see it? Or I can just grab the little trucks. We'll do that. So if you want to pan closely, you're going to have to make some decisions on the material that you want to use for your print and cut pieces. This one here on this side, the darker truck, is printed on the Silhouette sticker cardstock, and it turned out beautiful. I love how crisp and clean it is. That paper has such a great finish. Let me let's see. Let's see. Okay, so this is what is printed on the Silhouette cardstock, but we have some examples of some other materials. We have a holographic sticker, we have a glitter sticker, and we have this metallic, it's called printable silver foil. Okay, so you could get creative with some of the awesome Silhouette sticker materials and make your embellishments a little extra special. I just love how this looks on the glitter paper. It just looks like snow to me. I love that. And it's beautiful on this foil paper as well. And that holographic paper is so much fun. Yes?
So Laura, there was a question about the white sticker paper.
Yes.
Glitter sticker paper
Right.
earlier. I don't know if you can see that.
The glitter.
In the corners.
Oh, yeah.
Because someone was asking, can you use any glitter?
So the reason why the Silhouette brand sticker papers, the glitter and holographic things like that, work with the Silhouette machine is because they've left these corners free of the holographic or glitter iridescent material so that you can see that those registration marks show up. Your machine has got to see those registration marks. So if you tried to use a different holographic sticker paper, I don't believe your machine would see those corners. So you'd have to figure out a way, maybe put paper in the corners or something. You'd have to jimmy rig it a little bit so that you can make those work. But the Silhouette paper work, or the sticker papers work beautifully with their machine. So I do recommend getting theirs. I've also got this example right here is just plain cardstock. So if you don't want to buy any special material, you don't have to. This was printed on plain cardstock at my house. So just regular cardstock. This was printed on the Silhouette sticker material cardstock. So it just looks so much more vibrant. The colors look a lot better to me. So you can also print to like a Kinko's or a print facility of some sort if you wanted to, and I'll show you once we're in the software how you can set it up to send to print somewhere else if you would prefer to do that. So let's go take a look at the print and cut file. When you download it from the store, it should come all set up and ready for you. So I'm going to bring my machine back up to life here real quick. Let's go to the library, and here's my sticker sheet. And I actually think I've already opened that in a tab. So I'm just going to go to my tab that's already got it open right here. So when you open it up, it should look like this. It should already have the registration marks in the corner because it's a print and cut file. But if for some reason it doesn't, let me just show you. I'm going to run through the settings for a print and cut. So you know, if you want to rearrange the sheet or just print some of them, you'll know what to do. So one of my favorite features of the Silhouette is the print and cut feature. It's really so much fun. You can make beautiful graphics and customize things without having to go to so much work. In fact, yesterday we had a designer spotlight and we were talking to Amy Robinson, and you know, that she does a ton of print and cuts and they're adorable, so cute. And you know, she just loves it because it saves time. When you're trying to make kids crafts or you're trying to make customized pieces, it just saves a ton of time. So, and I completely agree with her. It's just such a fun feature, but sometimes it's a little intimidating. So to get a print and cut ready to go, I'm just going to start with a blank document so you can see this is, you know, what a document might look like, and you probably have it automatically 12 by 12, something like this. So you would just want to make sure you have the right machine set up. You would want to make sure you have the right cutting mat set up. So I am going to cut on a 12 by 12 mat, so I'll leave that. But my media size, if you have an 8.5 by 11 printer, you would change to 8.5 by 11 and make sure that the orientation is the correct way. I like to do this vertical orientation. There's the two little orientation buttons there. And then if you'll go over to the third tab, you'll see that you can turn registration marks on. Okay, so that automatically puts those registration marks on. And you might want to hit restore defaults on your machine or on your screen if your marks don't look like they're in the right position. You may have messed with them a little bit and they might not be right where they belong. Always start with the default because that's a good place to like put everything back to a baseline, make sure you get your print and cut working. And then if you want to start playing with some advanced options, you can, but the default is a good place to start. So then back on your first tab here, you will want to turn on your show print border and make sure you show your cut border. See the red line goes on and off when I click that. And then the print border is this line out here. So that's going to show you your limitations on your printer and on your cutting. So then when you're setting up your file for print and cut, you'll want to make sure everything's inside that red line, and definitely don't put anything in those gray cross-hatched areas. So you can see that is the way this file is designed. Everything's inside those cross-hatched areas and inside the print line and cut line. So at this point, you would go ahead, and it's not too complicated. You just send, I was a little intimidated by it, but I just showed you basically how to get it set up, and then you just send it to your home printer. Go to your home printer, load a piece of cardstock into it, and it's going to come out of your printer, and we'll show that really quick. I've got it already loaded on my mat, but it's going to come out looking just like this print right here. So you saw it on my virtual screen. It looks just like it when it prints out. And then you're going to load it up here in the top left-hand corner of your mat, just like it was on our virtual mat. And then we're going to be ready to send it to our cutter. So we'll go ahead and take that print and cut sheet and load it in our Cameo. And I'm going to go back to my computer screen real quick. I've already printed it, so I'm going to hit cancel on that. And then I'm going to go to send. And okay, this one's coming in with all of the cut lines turned on. We do not want to cut it like that. You want to make sure you select all the artwork, and this is super important. You have to select the artwork and then click cut edge. And then it'll take it just a minute to think. And then it's going to change all those cut lines to be on the outline of each sticker. So that's what you want to cut. Make sure you change that setting before you send it. And in this case, I'm actually not going to cut the whole sheet. I don't want you guys to have to wait while we cut every piece. Maybe we'll just cut out that little truck. So I'm going to turn no cut on. to a bunch of these pieces. So if you guys wanted to make additional trees or another truck or whatever, and you don't want to make all of the pieces, this is the way you could do it. Just turn on and off selectively what you want to cut, and also print. You could move some of them off of the page if you don't want to print them and waste ink or something. So then we're going to go ahead and hit, oh, wait, we got to set up our settings first. So make sure you set this up for the cardstock or whatever it is you're cutting it on. So I'm going to put on a textured heavy cardstock because this is a really thick white cardstock that I'm cutting on. And I am going to keep, I actually think these are not the default settings. Well, actually, yeah, maybe it is. I'm going to do 2 passes though, just to make sure we get a good clean cut. I'm going to go ahead and hit send. The machine's going to go find those registration marks. And then it's going to go and cut. And after it finds those marks, it knows right where to cut. It's the coolest thing. So if you were doing this on sticker paper, you would print on sticker paper, obviously, instead of this cardstock like I'm showing you. Okay, got to think for a minute. Okay, I'm just going to test that. It's coming off beautifully, so I'm just going to unload that. If for some reason yours doesn't cut beautifully that first time, you could go and send it again if you don't unload your mat. So there we have our beautiful print and cut truck. Isn't that fun? I love, love, love print and cut because you get these gorgeous little graphics so quick and easy. So now that we've done that, I wanted to show you in the file on my screen, down below the print and cut pieces, there's some little funky pieces that look like this right here. These are the easels for the back of the embellishments. So go ahead and cut those on some white cardstock or whatever color you want, but I used white so that they would be kind of not too apparent on the back of the pieces. So I'm going to show you those really quick on my desktop. Let's see, we've got some already cut out right here, but you can cut out several of those. It's just a tiny little easel. Okay, so the other thing that you can do, I'm just going to show you some different options for creating your print and cut. But let's see, I'm just going to move this computer out of the way for a minute because we've got, okay, a few different options. I just wanted to go through some ways you can create your print and cut. For my print and cut pieces, I actually painted some chipboard white, and then I put my cardstock printout and just glued it on my white chipboard. So literally, let's see, I've got chipboard pieces cut out somewhere. Here they are. So I literally took my chipboard and just glued my printed cardstock on it. But before I did that, I had painted the back because I didn't want it to be chipboard on the back. I painted it white with my same white spray paint. If you do that, you need to put some weight on it to keep them nice and flat. So that would be my suggestion on that. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is this one. This is actually like a thicker watercolor paper. And then the sticker material, nope, that's this one. This one is the sticker material with the watercolor paper. Okay, so that's another option. You can use the materials you have at home, or if you want to go try and experiment with other things, you can. And then this option, that was the same. That was the chipboard with the print. But then you can also, if you don't want to paint chipboard and all of that, you could just take another sheet of cardstock, like heavy cardstock, and maybe a couple layers, and then just laminate or glue, not laminate, but just glue the printed piece to the white cardstock, and maybe do a couple layers of cardstock. So you have a few options, but you probably want to make them a little bit sturdier than just the printed material. So that's with glue. You can also use all of these cute stickers. So let me just pull off one of these. Let's use this metallic sticker here. You can just use one of these stickers, and because it has adhesive on the back, it's going to stick really easily. We'll just use this chipboard that we've already cut out. So you just want to be super careful as you're lining them up. Like I'm not being. Okay, just make sure you're super careful and you can just line those right up. Okay, that might not be the best example, but be careful when you're doing it. Get your sticker right in the same position. You could also experiment with like printing and gluing your paper down and then cutting through 2 layers of cardstock. That might work as well. So you guys experiment with that and see how you want to make your embellishments. But I did make them so that you could store them flat. You can just take that little easel, pop that piece up and lay these flat, and you keep them in an envelope until next year so they don't take up a lot of space. So to put these easels together, hopefully you can see this. You're just going to fold on that score line. You can see a little thing that pops out. That is the easel mechanism. And it's super tiny, so you might need to get your glasses on to see this. And then before you glue, you'll want to make sure you pop that easel piece down. And if you do it right, there's 2 little notches that should catch right there. So then to glue this on the back of your piece, you would just glue right here and here. So say this was my, let's see, we'll grab this piece here. You would just put some adhesive here and here and then just glue it on. And you want to make sure when you're gluing it that you glue it right to the bottom edge of that piece. You don't want to be up in the air a little bit because then your piece will lay back too far. You want to make sure it's right on that bottom edge. And it's really important on some of the pieces, for instance, the little light post, maybe not that one. Is there another light post handy? Over this way. Why am I not seeing it? There it is. Okay, knocking everything over. But this one, okay. So the little notches on this one actually got glued down, but maybe it's that other one I do want. So I guess both of those are the same. But you would want to make sure you glue that right to the bottom so that they don't show on the sides here because that's so skinny. So that's just a tip. Just make sure you glue them right to the bottoms. Okay, does anyone have any questions about the print and cut or the little easels or how to make any of that work? No questions? All right, you guys, you're awesome. I guess I don't really have much more to show you, so we'll tie up class. You guys, I'll give you just another minute to ask any questions if you have any. Yeah, so we put the lights in them. Oh, all of the little embellishment pieces are magnetic. So I've used, and I showed this a little bit in the other class too, but I used a roll of magnet tape to just put a little piece of magnet behind those chipboard pieces, embellishment pieces, and then they just stick right on the door and above the door there.
Okay, can you show some of the other ones? They're asking about the
Oh, yeah.
houses in the background.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay, so we've got some darling options. This one has a glitter cardstock roof on it. Heat transfer. Okay, this is a glitter heat transfer material. So that was ironed on to the cardstock. That's super creative. Sarah made this. She should come up here and tell us all about it. But then she used, for covering panels on top of that chipboard, she used just a layer of cardstock, like patterned cardstock. Super, super cute. And I love how she did a different contrasting pattern here on this front piece. It is. Yeah, this is from my paper collection from last Christmas, I believe. Yeah, darling. And she's put the little chimney on, which I love. I did not use the chimneys on any of my samples up here. So we've also got some darling examples that Kelly Wayment made. Grab both of those real quick. But she's used like a chevron pattern. And then she's used pattern paper also for all of those covering panels. So that gives you some good ideas. And you'll notice inside the files, I've given you a couple of options. These use the window shutters, and I have used the window casings, and I've given you both options inside the file. And then Kelly has also pulled some embellishments from another cut file of mine, the little wreaths. I'm not sure what file that came off of. Maybe Kelly's on the chat and can tell us, but anyways, you can mix and match other files that you may already have to add embellishments to these houses. So we've also got a beautiful house example. This one is a glitter cardstock instead of the heat transfer. And this is made out of my Christmas Magic paper that's new for this Christmas season. But so it's 2 layers of chipboard, and then it's a covering panel on top of that second layer of chipboard. So it is a nice, sturdy paperboard house. It's nice and it's going to be very durable. And then we've embellished it with a cute wreath from just the miniature section at the craft store. So you don't have to use the print and cut wreaths that I give you. You can go to town embellishing with other things. I think it would be super cute to get some little mini pom-pom or rickrack and just make little strings of lights or something on the houses. We have a question? Sure.
Do the houses fold up for next year?
No.
Also?
Okay, the question is, do the houses fold up? These houses do not fold up for next year. These are nice, sturdy paper cardstock houses. These are going to last a long time. I have a different Christmas village that you can come and take a class from me that actually does store flat. This one will unhinge and lay flat, but this is a different class. So this set won't do that. They're made with a different intention, right? This one's meant to store flat. This one's meant to actually stay out year round.
Okay, and then someone's asking, do you need the craft blade to cut the silhouette chipboard?
Okay, the question is, do we need the craft blade? No, you don't need the craft blade. I've cut all of this chipboard with just a regular blade in my Cameo. So, in fact, I wouldn't try to use the craft blade. You don't need to. No need to.
Okay, and then how tall are the buildings? Do you know
Okay.
how many inches, how tall they are?
We have a map here. Let's see. I can't remember off the top of my head, but let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 inches on the height of the tallest building. So let's see. This building is 6 inches, a little less than 6. That gives you an idea. And then our smallest building is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 inches. So somewhere between 7, 4.5, 6.5, something like that. They're a great size. They're a perfect village size. They fit beautifully on my mantle at home or on a bookshelf, something like that.
Okay, and the one that you showed that stored flat, is that in the Silhouette Design store?
That one's not. That's actually a class that I just have separately over at cuttingclasses.com. It's just a class that I put out to help people learn how to use their Silhouette machines, and we just made a fun store flat Christmas village in that class. If you want to come and take that, I would love to see you over there. Any other questions for me? Okay, you guys, I would love to see what you make with your village. Please upload pictures to the Facebook page at Silhouette, or you can feel free to load them to my Facebook page as well. We'd love to see what you're making. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at info@loriwhitlock.com. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Go grab your files. Don't forget to grab your free. This is my Christmas crafting shirt this week. And I will see you all in another video. Bye.